Hello friends, I'm Shruti Parashar. Welcome to my channel Biology 360. Today I'm going to discuss the topic structure of pollen grain and development of male gametophyte. The topic is important for ICSE, CBSE, IGCSE and HSC board students and for students preparing for NEET, AIMS and Olympiad exams. The pollen grains represent the male gametophytes in angiosperms. Angiosperms are the flowering plants. They are highly evolved plants of kingdom Plantae. You will really be amazed at the variety of architecture, sizes, shapes, colors, designs seen on the pollen grains from different species. As you can see in this slide, the wide variety of pollen grains. Pollen grains are generally spherical, measuring about 25 to 50 micrometers in diameter. It has a prominent two-layered wall. The hard outer layer is called the exene. It is made up of sporopollenin. Sporopollenin is one of the most resistant organic material known because it can withstand high temperatures and strong acids and alkali. Pollen grain exene has prominent apertures called germ pores where sporopollenin is absent. In this slide, we can see the diagram of the typical pollen grain. In the diagram, we see the pollen grain has the outer layer called as the exene and the inner layer called as the intine. On the exene layer, we also see the germ pores. Inside the pollen grain, there are two nuclei. One is called the generative nucleus and the vegetative nucleus. The diagram is important from the exam point of view. The inner wall of the pollen grain is called as the intine. It is thin and continuous layer made up of cellulose and pectin. The cytoplasm of pollen grain is surrounded by a plasma membrane. When the pollen grain is mature, it contains two cells, the vegetative cell and the generative cell. The vegetative cell is bigger, has abundant food reserve and a large irregularly shaped nucleus. The generative cell is small and floats in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. It is spindle shaped with dense cytoplasm and a nucleus. The generative cell divides mitotically to give rise to the two male gametes before pollen grains are shed. Pollen grains are rich in nutrients. Pollen is quite a significant source of vitamin, both fat soluble such as vitamin A and vitamin E and D. And also they are quite rich source of water soluble vitamins such as B1, B2, B6 and C. Other than that, pollen grains also contain nicotine, folic acid, biotin and inositol. Pollen consumption has been claimed to increase the performance of athletes and racehorses. Pollen grains have to land on the stigma before they lose viability if they have to bring about fertilization. The period for which pollen grains remain viable depends on the prevailing temperature and humidity. In rice and wheat, pollen grains lose viability within 30 minutes of their release, and in some members of Rosaceae, Leguminosae and Solanaceae, they maintain viability for months. It is possible to store pollen grains of a large number of species for years in liquid nitrogen, that is at -190 degrees Celsius. Such stored pollen can be used as pollen banks, similar to seed banks in crop breeding programs. Friends, crop breeding programs helps to increase the yield. Development of male gametophyte. Pollen grain marks the beginning of male gametophyte. It undergoes first mitotic division to produce bigger naked vegetative cell and small thin-walled generative cell. The second mitotic division is concerned with generative cell only, and it gives rise to two non-motile male gametes. The mitotic division of generative cell takes place either in pollen grain or in the pollen tube. So as we can see in this diagram, in the A diagram, we see a pollen grain. In the B, we see the pollen grains containing vacuole and the nucleus. Then the nucleus is dividing. It divides to give the vegetative cell and the generative cell. Now, a pollen tube is formed. The generative cell or the generative nucleus, it divides to give rise to two male gametes. Friends, do subscribe to my channel Biology 360 and don't forget to click on the bell icon to receive the notifications on the biology videos. Also, please send me your comments and suggestions regarding the videos as well. Thank you.